A very good morning to all of you. I'm Mr. Kamlesh Ahirwar, Assistant Professor of IIMT College of Science and Technology. Today, in this session, we will discuss different type of keys in database management system. First of all, we will see what is key in database management system and why do we require keys in database management system. We use a key for defining various type of integrity constraints in a database. A table, on the other hand, represents a collection of the record of various events for any relation. Now, there might be thousands of these records, and some of these might even be duplicated. Maybe this may be duplicated, but thus we need a way in which one can identify all of these records uniquely and separately, that is without any duplicates. This hassle is removed with the help of keys. For example, let us consider a database of all the students who are studying in a college. What attribute of all the students according to you will identify each of these students uniquely? We can refer to these students by their names, their roll numbers, their branch, their section, years. Okay. Similarly, we can also mention only the university roll number and fetch all the other details based on that roll number. If we want uniquely identify for citizens of India, we will identify on the basis of Aadhaar number. Okay? And we will identify based on a voter card number. Voter card number and Aadhaar number is unique number for each and everyone. Keys. Keys play an important role in relational database. It is used to uniquely identify any record or row of data from the table. It is also used to establish and identify relationship between tables. This is very important. It is also used, this line is very important. It is also used to establish and identify relationship between tables, between two tables, between more than two tables, so many tables, relations in many tables. A key refers to an attribute, a set of attributes that help us identify a row. Row means tuple or records uniquely in a table or a relation. A key is also used when we want to establish relationship between the different columns and tables of a relational database. This is again minded. A key is also used when we want to establish relationship between the different column and tables of a relational database. This is point out relational database. The keys in database management system can be a combination of multiple attributes. So simple. Or they can be just one single attribute. We can make any single column for a key attribute or any combination of a column, a combination of attribute for identifying a record, for uniquely identifying a record. The key in database management system can be combination of multiple attributes or single attribute. The primary motive of keys is to provide every record with a unique identity of its own. Why we need a key? Here's some reason for using SQL key in the database management system. Keys help you to identify even SQL, MS SQL, Oracle, MySQL. Okay. Keys help you to identify any row of data in a table, any record. In real world application, a table could contain thousands of records. Table could contain thousands of records, even lakhs of records. Moreover, the records could be duplicated. It's possibility record is duplicated. The two person has a same name. The two person has a same date of birth. but we want to uniquely identify each and every one. So we will assign a unique number. It may be Aadhaar number, it may be a roll number. In the case of a student, we will assign the roll number. In the case of citizens, we will assign the Aadhaar number. Okay. And in the case of banking system, we will assign the account number. In the income tax department, we will assign the PAN number. These are the unit. Every citizen, every person, every student has a unique number. Okay. So these are the primary key attributes for the uniquely identifying a record. Okay. Keys in relational database management system ensure that you can uniquely identify a table record despite the challenges. Allow you to establish a relationship between and identifying the relation between tables. Help you to enforce identity and integrity in the relation. What is this? Help you to enforce identity. You enforce the identity and integrity in the relationship. Okay. The data should be integrated and constant. Different type of keys. How many type of keys in use the database management system? Super key, candidate key, primary key, alternate key, foreign key, composite key, artificial key. These are the keys, different type of keys in database management. In further slide, we will discuss the each and every key. We will discuss one by one. First is primary key. What is primary key? The primary key refers to a column or a set of columns of a table that help us identify all the records uniquely present in the table. A table can consist of just one primary key. Also, this primary key cannot consist of the same values reappearing, repeating for any of its rows. All the values of a primary key have to be different and there should be no repetition. It means the column value not a repeatable. The column value is unique value. Okay. There should be no repetition in the column value or in the attribute value or in the key attribute value in the primary key attribute value. The primary key constant that we put on a column, set of columns, won't allow these to have a null value or duplicate. Primary column does not allow the duplicate value and null value. It means 0 or blank. The primary key attribute did not allow the null value or duplicate value. Any table can consist of only a single primary key constant. A foreign key, we explain in further slide. Foreign key that refers to it can never change the value present in the primary key. It cannot be changes value whenever the primary key is present. Okay. It is the first key. Primary key is the first key used to identify one and only one instance of an entity uniquely. An entity can contain multiple keys. Entity. What is entity? Entity is a real world object which has some properties. What is the property? Property is the attribute, column. Okay. On the base of property, an entity is recognized. How to recognize entity? On the basis of property. Whenever some object has a properties, then we can say it's an entity. Okay. The key which is most suitable from those lists becomes a primary key. In the student table, roll number can be the primary key since it is unique for each student. For each entity, the primary key selection is based on requirement. Let's see in this example. Firstly, we understand what is tuple, what is rows, what is column, what is attribute, okay, what is entity. Here, the student is a entity. It means student is an entity. Student entity has a four attribute, has a four property. First property is roll number, second one is name, third one age, and fourth one is GPA. This is a column also known as a attribute. And this is the record. This is the column 1, column 2, column 3, and column 4. And this is the record. 4 record and 4 column. This are 1 record, 2 record, 3 record, and 4 record. Row also named as a record, and another word is tuple. Tuple, record, and row are the same. Column, attribute, property are the same. Okay, don't be confused. This is the example primary key. Primary key to denote the candidate. Candidate. Let's we understand the further slide what is candidate key, but let's see here in the primary key. Primary key here ID is a primary key 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, and 107 to 109. This is all are the this is the unique. All are the unique value. It means this is the primary key. Okay. Never or very rarely change. This is never or rarely change. Candidate key with null value. This is null value. Candidate key with a null value, but primary key doesn't have the null value. Not the primary key. And primary key has no null value, no duplicate value. This is the column of primary key. ID is a primary. We can make SSN number and email ID as a primary key, but we set the suitable, the best suitable for the primary key, and remaining all are the candidate key. This is the candidate key, this is candidate key, and this is the primary key. Okay, primary key equal to unique plus not null. Every record is unique. Every record is unique and not a null. Okay. What is candidate key? The candidate key refers to those attributes that identify rows uniquely in a table. Okay. In a table, we select the primary key from a candidate. We select, very important. This point is very important. In a table, we select the primary key. We select the primary key from a candidate. It means we select the primary key from the candidate key. It means the candidate key more than 1, 2, 3. Okay, but the candidate key more than 1, 2, 3. But primary key is only a single key. Candidate key more than 1, 2, 3, but primary key only single key. When we select the primary key from the candidate key, so one is the primary key and remaining is also called the candidate. We can make the candidate key as the primary key. Every candidate key we can make primary key, but only one key we can select as a primary key, and remaining all are called the candidate key. Thus, a candidate key has similar properties as that of the primary key. Simple, because we select the primary key. We select the primary key from the candidate keys. Obviously, the property is the same of the primary key, is same as the candidate key. In a table, there can be multiple candidate keys. Yes, the table has a multiple candidate key only except the primary key. Candidate key. A candidate key is an attribute or set of attributes that can uniquely identify the tuple, record, row. Except for the primary key, the remaining attributes are considered a candidate. Except for the primary key. यानी प्राइमरी की को छोड़कर बाकी सबके सब क्या है as considered as a candidate key. The candidate key or as strong as the primary key. Candidate key are as strong as the primary key. Obviously क्योंकि प्राइमरी की है उसको हम कैंडिडेट की से ही सिलेक्ट कर रहे हैं, इसलिए ऐसा वी कैन से द कैंडिडेट की आर एज स्ट्रॉन्ग एज द प्राइमरी की. फॉर एग्जांपल इन द एम्प्लॉय टेबल, let us see in this example the primary key is employee ID. We can make the passport number, license number, SSN number as a primary key, but we already selected the employee ID as a primary key, then remaining called the candidate key. We can we can make the primary SSN number or license number or passport number, but here we already select the employee ID as primary, so remaining called the candidate key. This is the candidate key example. We select the ID, name, SSN, salary, phone, email, ID. Here ID is a, if we select the ID is a primary key, then remaining SSN number, email ID is a candidate key. The candidate key the candidate key क्या? Minimal super key are called candidate. Minimal super key are. We will discuss in next slide what is super key. But look here, candidate key, ID, SSN number, name, the combination name and phone number, name and phone number. Also, we will make a candidate key and email ID also a candidate key. The main purpose of key is that uniquely identify a record. That आपको माइंड में एक ही बात रखना है कि हमें एवरी रिकॉर्ड को यूनिकली आइडेंटिफाई करना है. सुपर की, a super key refers to the set of all those keys that help us uniquely identify all the rows present in the table. It means that all of those columns present in table that can identify the column of that table uniquely act as the super key. We need to pick the primary key of any table from the super keys sets so as to make it the table identity attribute. A super key is a superset of a candidate. Super key is a superset of candidate का एक super key. Candidate का superset. Grouping कर देंगे. In another word, for example, in the above employee table, see, in the above employee table, employee ID, we can create employee ID as a primary. Employee name, we cannot make an employee name as a primary key because more than one employee, more than one person has a same name. Passport, yeah, we can make the passport number as a primary key. We can make the SSN number as a primary key, but we select the employee ID as a primary key. Here, the employee ID, employee name are both the super key. We also discussed this. We also discussed the previous slide. A super key is a superset of a candidate key. We select the superset of candidate key. This is also we can, if we select the passport number as a primary key, then remaining employee ID also the candidate key. So we can select the super key is a superset of the candidate key. Okay. This is the example. Like superset, uniquely identify the record. This is basic information. Null value. The super key contains the null value. Look, see. The employee name is null value. Okay. Employee ID. Some citizens. Suppose this is the Aadhaar number. The Aadhaar number. So this is Aadhaar number. Employee name. I don't know what is the name of the citizens. So this may be a blank. This may be a null. May contain extraneous attributes. Super key ID is a super key. SSN ID name. Superset in group of the attribute. ID phone number, name phone, ID email, name SSN phone, name email, ID SSN phone. All are we can create as a super key. This is super key. This is super key. The group of super key. This is super key. Combinedly called the super key. Okay. Let us see in the next. This is a very important example. The student ID primary key, very simple. The roll number, the email ID, the roll number and the email ID and the student ID is the candidate key. All three are the candidate key. But we select the primary key for the student. Then remaining two, roll number and email ID are the candidate key. Correct? And the roll number and email ID also are alternate key. Candidate key and alternate key almost same, but whenever we do not recognize the table from the we do not recognize the data or record in the table while in the using of the candidate key, so we create the alternate key. Okay. Foreign key. We use a foreign key to establish relations between two available tables. Foreign key are the column of the table used to point to the primary key of another table. Every employee works in a specific department in a company, and employee and department are two different entities. So we can't store the department information in the employee table. That's why we link these two tables through the primary key of the foreign key. What is the foreign key? Foreign key establishes the relationship between two tables. If one column in a table, suppose we have a table E, table B. Suppose table A has an employee ID is a primary key. If we want the department in the department table, the employee ID work as a foreign key. We can create the relationship between table A and table B. यानी अगर एक जगह वो प्राइमरी की है तो दूसरी टेबल में सेम कॉलम क्या बन सकते हैं फॉरेन की बना सकते हैं किस लिए बनाते हैं फॉर एस्टैब्लिश द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन टू टेबल और मोर देन टू टेबल ओके let's see in the example we add the primary key of the department this is the department table this is the department table okay department id this is the department id primary key okay as new attribute in the table this is the new attribute in the table in the employee table this is the employee table department id is the foreign key the department id is a foreign key and both the tables are related both the tables are related this is the relationship between two tables department table and employee table okay the foreign key concept here the department code here is the department code department name department code here department code is the primary key and this primary key is goes in the department code also this is the foreign key for the student foreign key in a student table department is the department code is the department code in the department table is the primary key so differential this also called the differential integrity this is the differential integrity okay and what is alternate key there may be one or more attributes or a combination of attributes that uniquely identify each tuple in a relation. These attributes or combinations of the attributes are called the candidate keys. One key is chosen as the primary key from these candidate keys, and the remaining candidate key, if it exists, is termed as the alternate. Simple है वन की चूजन एज द प्राइमरी की एक को हमने प्राइमरी की चूज कर लिया दिस कैंडिडेट की किससे किया कैंडिडेट की से एंड द रिमेनिंग कैंडिडेट की इट एग्जिस्ट अगर रिमेनिंग कुछ को हमने कैंडिडेट की मान लिया और उसके बाद जो हमारी बची है वो सबकी सब अल्टरनेट की है कीज का बेसिक पर्पस क्या है व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ कीज यूजिंग इन द डीबीएमएस द मेन पर्पस इज दैट द every record is uniquely identified nothing okay the alternate key may or may not exist हो भी सकती है alternate नहीं भी हो सकती है सिर्फ नाम दिया है इसको if there is only one candidate key in a relation it does not have an alternate key if there is only one candidate key if there is only one key candidate key in relation it does not have an alternate obviously suppose दो candidate key है हमारे table में तो क्या किया फर्स्ट वन इज अ प्राइमरी की एंड सेकेंड वन इज अ कैंडिडेट की एंड थर्ड वन है नहीं तो उसमें फिर अल्टरनेट की नहीं होगा इन अदर वर्ड द टोटल नंबर ऑफ द अल्टरनेट कीज एंड द टोटल नंबर ऑफ कैंडिडेट कीज माइनस द प्राइमरी की दिस पॉइंट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन अदर वर्ड द टोटल नंबर ऑफ अल्टरनेट इज द टोटल नंबर ऑफ कैंडिडेट कितनी कैंडिडेट की है उसमें से प्राइमरी की को माइनस कर दीजिए प्राइमरी की माइनस करेंगे तो जो बचा है वो अल्टरनेट की है अल्टरनेट की क्या है एक प्रकार से कैंडिडेट की ही तो है अगर दो है एक को अगर हमने मान लिया प्राइमरी की तो सेकंड वन इज क्या है अल्टरनेट की है और अल्टरनेट की को कहाँ से सिलेक्ट करते हैं कैंडिडेट की से और प्राइमरी की को कहाँ से सिलेक्ट करते हैं वो भी कैंडिडेट की से सिंपल फॉर एग्जाम्पल employee relation has two attributes this is the employee relation has two attributes employee id and PAN number that act as candidate key. Both are act as the primary candidate key. In this relation, employee ID is chosen as the primary key, employee ID is chosen as the primary key. Okay. So the other candidate key is PAN number. PAN number act as the alternate key. एक हमने select किया primary, तो second one is called the alternate key. Both are also called candidate key. But when we select the primary key, the remaining is the alternate key or candidate key. Okay, this is the example, the candidate key other than the primary key. यानी primary key को छोड़कर जो भी है वो सब candidate key, वो सारी candidate key क्या है? Alternate key. All the key which are not primary key, जो भी primary key नहीं है, वो सब जो कैंडिडेट की हो सकती हैं वो सबकी सब अल्टरनेट की है. कैंडिडेट की क्या क्या है? आईडी, एसएसएन नंबर, नेम, फोन नंबर, ईमेल. नेम, फोन नंबर, ईमेल. तो प्राइमरी की आईडी, देन रिमेनिंग आल्सो एसएसएन नंबर, नेम, फोन, ईमेल. दिस इज कॉल्ड द अल्टरनेट की. कंपोजिट की. व्हाट इज द कंपोजिट की? whenever a primary key consists of more than one attribute. Primary key consists of more than one attribute. It also known as a composite. Primary key consists of more than one attribute. यानी primary key अपने साथ में किसी एक और attribute, किसी एक और column को लेके चल रहा है, तो वो क्या बन जाएगा? Composite key. This key is also known as a concatenated key. Concatenated key. For example, in employee relation, we assume that an employee may be assigned multiple roles and an employee may work on multiple projects simultaneously. Okay. So the primary key will be composed of all three attributes. Primary key composed all three attributes: employee ID, employee role, and project ID. Okay. Namely, employee ID, employee roll number, and project ID in combination. So these attributes act as a composite key. Since the primary key comprises more than one attribute, जब हम एक प्राइमरी की के साथ में मोर देन वन कीज को, मोर देन वन एट्रीब्यूट को कंबाइन कर लेते हैं, तो वो पूरा का पूरा क्या बन जाता है? हमारा क्या बन जाता है? कंपोजिट की. दिस इज द कंपोजिट की. व्हाट इज आर्टिफिशियल की? द की क्रिएटेड यूजिंग आर्बिट्ररली assigned data are known as artificial key. These keys are created when a primary key is large and complex. When the primary key is large and complex and has no relationship with many other relations. अगर प्राइमरी की हमारी लार्ज है, कॉम्प्लेक्स है और कोई भी रिलेशन उससे क्रिएट नहीं हो पा रहा, तब हम क्या काम करते हैं? आर्टिफिशियल की को क्रिएट करते हैं. द डेटा वैल्यू ऑफ द आर्टिफिशियल की आर यूजुअली नंबर्ड in a serial order. The data value artificial key are usually number. Usually हम number use कर लेते हैं इससे easily accessible हो जाए. For example, the primary key which is composite key. Look in this. Employee ID, employee name, employee ID. We can make as a primary. Employee roll number. We can as a candidate key. Project ID. This is the candidate key, primary key, also candidate key. Then when we not recognize the data from this three attributes, then we create the artificial key. So the row ID is the artificial key. Main purpose is that uniquely identify of each record. Okay. So it would be better to add a new virtual attribute to identify each tuple in the relation uniquely. Okay. And thank you so much. Thank you so much watching this video.